Why I Stopped Being a Racist, Part 1. I've been asked probably well over 1,000 times in the comments and messages why I chose to confront my own racism and my prejudice ideology. So I thought I'd just have an honest conversation with you and break it down over a few parts and let you see into the mind of someone like me, the way I grew up, and the man I'm becoming. Now, here's the crazy thing. I've only ever known one racist in my life for sure, and that's me, because I can't speak into the hearts and minds of another human being and what they think and feel. That's not fair, and that's prejudicial of me. So I'm the only one I've ever known, so I feel I can speak with authority about this. I'm not calling out other people who are. This is simply about my evolution and the things I confronted and some of the difficulties and some of the beautiful parts of this. This is not an easy thing for me to do. This is kind of laying my soul bare. So if you would, let me know if this is something you want me to continue in the comments, please, because it's going to take a lot for me to invest emotionally to be open about this. Now, why is it I grew up with so much prejudice and bias and discrimination in my life? Well, I grew up in a small town in Arkansas, and I am Arkansas proud. Let me just say that right off the top. But I grew up with people who taught me these things, and it was instilled in me. I mean, it was just reinforced over and over. And then for the most part, I lived in an echo chamber of other people who thought the same thing. So I didn't know it was possible to think any other way. I was raised Christian. I cannot explain to you why my faith in God, my morality, and my racism took so long to cross paths. I can't explain it, but it probably took about 40 years to figure that out. There's a whole series of events in my life, I guess, ultimately that led up to this. And prison was probably one of the biggest catalysts, because when you're on 23-1 lockdown with someone of a different color from you in the same cell, you shut your mouth and you listen. You ask questions. And I had so many different cellmates from different countries, from different races and heritages. And it just really opened my mind. And sitting in prison, I had a lot of time to think. And I had some old timers tell me I need to do my time. Don't let my time do me. And those are good words of advice. But I started digging deep into myself and my flaws, and because I was probably the biggest asshole I knew at that time, and I wasn't proud of that at all. And I knew I needed to change if I wanted to live a productive and healthy life and just be somebody likable. I just couldn't see the world for the way it really was. And that breaks my heart that it took me so long to see it. But the beauty that is born from this change in me, or this growth, is just crazy. God is amazing. So if you want me to continue this, let me know and I'll do a part 2. Why I Stopped Being a Racist? Part 2. At one time, I very much was the enemy. So I think it's important that you can see sometimes into the mindset of somebody like I was, so maybe that we can better understand it going forward. And again, these are just my experiences, my opinions, and my thoughts. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to know that I had prejudice and bias and discrimination and bigotry inside me. I knew this. Understanding that it was wrong and accepting that my character was flawed was way more difficult. People see what they want to see. I'm absolutely guilty of that. I only sought out information that further proved my ideology the way I thought, no matter how wrong it was. But I did this over and over, and it just further reinforced in my head that what I was reading and hearing was true. Accepting that you have a massive character flaw is not easy for anybody of any race or gender. It sucks. But you have to admit it. You have to confront that the way you think is harmful and hurtful, and it's not healthy, and it's not accurate of all things. So I realized the first step was admitting it. The second step was learning to forgive myself. And that's a whole nother story in part 3. Have a great day.
White people are now coming out to own it up to their chests, to open up and tell you, this is the reason why I actually stopped being a racist. In today's video, we are going to dive in deep and learn more about white people, why they actually stop. And this video should also encourage you out there that if you have any form of this racial profile, disease from it, learn from it, watch this video, and also type something for these amazing souls in the comment section. Welcome back again to my channel. It's Sonia and I'm back again with another mind-blowing video. How you guys doing? Hope you guys are fine. Hope you guys are good. If this is the first time tuning in, do what to subscribe, like this video, drop me your comments. Lastly, do not forget to share for every other person to get this good news. And yes, with that being said, let's dive right into this video. Every videos and stitches we use in today's episode credit belongs to the original creators of these videos. This video is just for educational purpose. I stand the chance to be corrected wherever you think that I am actually wrong, right? Thank you so much for always coming back to support. I love you guys. Now, let's dive right into it.
I'm a white person trying to unlearn racist ideologies that have been taught to me throughout my lifetime. And growing up in Alberta, I was taught a lot of racist things and phrases. And the other day I made a video about the insidious way that racism creeps into my life, and I gave an example. And that's where I made my mistake on a social media platform of giving an example. Because I think some people hadn't heard of that phrase before and now are maybe thinking of that, and that wasn't my intent. I think my intent was to open the conversation about the intrusive thoughts that I still get as a person who is trying really hard to unlearn all that bullshit that I was taught as a kid. I'm learning all the time about how to talk about racism because it's a hard subject to discuss. And I appreciate the gentle guidance that I was given regarding this in my comment section. You know, I messed up this time, but I'm still going to keep talking about it, and I'm still going to learn how to talk about racism, and I'm still going to keep unlearning those racist ideologies. So thank you for everyone who keeps sticking around and listening to my ramblings.
Okay, I am going to tell you two stories about myself, and it's pretty embarrassing, and one of them I'm ashamed of. But I don't know how else to answer the question someone asked me. They said, what exactly are you deconstructing from since you were never an extreme racist? I guess that's a fair question. I mean, I have never flown a Confederate flag. I've never screamed slurs at anybody. I don't think I've even ever said the N-word, except in very controlled situations where I was referring to someone saying the N-word. So here's the first story. One time back when I lived in New Orleans, from the time I was 14 until I was 27, 28. So my formative years, I was driving toward the Mississippi River Bridge. There's a big intersection, and it was the middle of a Saturday, and there they were, the Ku Klux Klan in their full regalia, pointy hats, long white robes, handing out brochures like they're Girl Scouts or something. One of them walked up to my car with a pamphlet. I shot him the bird. I shot him the bird. Later, I wished I had just taken the damn brochure just to see how they framed their hate, but I didn't want that in my car. And he just smiled, this syrupy, sweet little smile, and said, "Now you have a nice day, ma'am." I guess they have hats that don't have the face part, or maybe he had it pulled up because I could see his face and a little smirky grin on it. Anyway, I always hated what they stand for. Always. And that wasn't the kind of overt racism that I needed to unlearn in my life. So the other story is this. One time, I walked into a hair salon in Texas, where I lived for many, many years, and the sign said, "Walk-ins welcome," so I walked in. And then I froze because everyone in there was black. I had long blonde hair, and I thought, do they even work on hair like mine? This is going to sound so ridiculous, but I didn't know what to do. A normal, non-racist person would have said, "Can I get a haircut?" I mean, that's not so hard, right? Not me, nope. I said sorry and turned on my heels and left. That was probably 30 years ago, and I still feel horrible about it. I had to come off like a rude white woman who didn't want to get her hair cut by black people. It has haunted me ever since. All I had to do was say, hey, do you cut hair like mine? I mean, the worst thing they could have said was no, but I was so uncomfortable, I couldn't ask a simple question. In most of my life, I wasn't someone who was considered an extreme racist, but if all those people in that salon had been white, I promise you, I would not even remember that interaction because I would have just got my hair cut. It would have been no big deal. That discomfort I felt in that awkward moment was racism. If you're white and you're trying to figure out if you have any racism curled up like a dust bunny under the hairdresser chair of your mind, just spend some time thinking about a situation in your life where you could have done better. Don't decide it wasn't that big of a deal. Just sit and look at it with curiosity, not shame, with interest, not avoidance. I'm not saying it's not going to be unpleasant. Most likely it will be, but just stay with that bit of your history held in your hands where you can examine where it came from, how it became part of your behavior. Think about what you could have done differently. Run it through your mind as a dress rehearsal the next time you have a chance to be a dork and would really prefer not to. Get curious about why you do the things you do in the ways that you do them. Do mental dress rehearsals about how to change your behavior. Coffee.com/Kelly Snyder is where you can drop me a little support if you want to keep my program going. Get curious. Sit with the story and keep going. You got this.
Don't mention race. Don't ask questions. Smile politely when adults say racist things. That's our conditioning, isn't it? From childhood. I'm the anti-racist mum and I help white people become less racist. And I know you didn't invent white silence, but if you're choosing to still be silent, you're repeating it. Because we learn early on what to say and what not to say. And part of our conditioning as white people is to stay silent when we see or hear racism around us. That silence becomes our comfort, our safety. But really, it's not safety, it's simply complicity and compliance. It's this white silence that's been passed down for centuries that's enabled harm to continue. I know you didn't ask for this legacy and I know you want to do better. So you do have a choice. You know, when you see or hear a microaggression or overt racism, speak up. Don't be silent. Start breaking this inherited silence. Let's teach our kids to disrupt. Let's show our kids that we can do better. We don't have to pass down generational silence and therefore generational oppression. Follow me, the anti-racist mum, for more content to help you unlearn the sickness of racism and become a better human. Or if you're ready to get started, DM me to book coaching. Let's do the work to break the silence.
Really, all racism is projection of white insecurities. I have examples. One stereotype is laziness. Some white people say that Latinos or Black people are lazy, which is wild because a lot of white people, we get our opportunities through nepotism or through having white skin, literally having more job opportunities or having generational wealth, simply because we're white and not necessarily because of our work ethic. Unfortunately, a lot of people of color have to work a lot harder in order to have opportunities for themselves because they're not handed to them. Another stereotype is the angry Black woman. I feel like the only people that I've seen really angry in public are white women and white men. Think about like people that call the police on Black people just for existing. Karenism is literally just angry white women, and people don't say angry, but it's true. There's a stereotype that a lot of Asian people are really smart, and it's not that white people necessarily are all dumb, but it is like a weird thing, you know, to be insecure about and project onto someone like, oh, like you're smart because you're Asian. It's like, I don't know. It's giving insecure. One thing that I hear from white men is that they will not be with a white woman who has been with a Black man. I feel like that one really speaks for itself. Okay, another one is telling black people to cut their hair or have their hair be short. Okay. We as white people do not have as many hairstyles. Literally. Like, white men can only really have the short hair, the mullet, like the mohawk. Like, I don't know. I feel like it's kind of insecure to be like, no, you guys can't have like all those diversity of hairstyles. You have to keep it like us. Like,
racism. Nobody wants to be racist. Well, I guess some people do want to be racist and they pride themselves on it, but for the most part, the general public, it's frowned upon. We don't want to be racist. The problem is when we want to think of ourselves as colorblind. That idea really doesn't exist. There's something in us through evolution that makes us notice somebody who's different. And maybe in historical times it could have been helpful. You know, you see somebody from another tribe, you don't know who you can trust, who you can't, if they're not in your immediate social circle. Times have changed. We don't have to live like that anymore, but that little part in our brain is still there. So the idea is to recognize when that automatic, you might have a racist thought, you might have a racist idea. The best thing you can do is notice it, acknowledge it, and then you have a choice. You don't have to give into it. You can remind yourself that this is a stereotype, this is an idea, this is my brain's evolution kind of triggering this response, and I can change that. I don't have to accept it as the truth, and then I can overcome it and then become someone who is not racist. Good luck.
Are you tired of being a racist? Are you tired of the weight of the hate that burdens your soul? Are you tired of your coworkers and strangers just completely avoiding you? Are you tired of getting pressure to say the N-word when you don't want to? Here are 5 easy steps to help you shed your racism and evolve into being a better human being. Number 1, you have to admit your character is flawed. That's the first step. Denial will get you nowhere. Number 2, you have to accept that you were taught wrong by people you loved and trusted, because most likely those people were taught wrong by the people they loved and trusted. Number 3, you have to forgive yourself. You cannot evolve when it comes from a place of guilt. Forgiveness is key. Number 4, learn to see skin color as a representation of heritage, not as a measurement of character. Number 5, learn how to respect other cultures and communities, but you also have to learn how to respect other cultures and communities. There is a distinct difference. But wait, that's not all. And as a special bonus, learn to be comfortable with discomfort. Be transparent, because people can see right through you. Shedding your racism is a very difficult and challenging process. But if you look for ugly in the world, you'll find ugly. But if you look for beauty, you'll find it everywhere. Have a good day.
Nobody is applauding these people for coming out and owning it up to their chest that this is why I actually stop and I'm not even ready. Or if nobody is applauding these people that is actually helping their own fellow white community to stop being a racist, then you are wicked, honestly, because I really applaud the smartness, the braveness, and for them to like come out to own it up to their chest, to be like, yes, we know that this is actually wrong and this is why we actually stopped it. Now, if you will listen from their conversation, you will know that this thing was brought up from when they were small, from when they were little. It was taught. It was synced into their head. And you know, one thing with children is what you teach them is what they grow up with. You can see that it takes the first clip that I played over 40 years for him to realize that this particular thing I am doing is not making sense. And the only way I can be able to be safe is when I stop doing this, right? You can see his lessons that he has taught from part 1 to part 2. And I really, really acknowledge him for that. When people come out here to own up, hit their chest and tell you, this is who I was before, but right now I am no longer that person, we are supposed to applaud them. And honestly, these people are doing amazing. But for those ones that will really not understand what we meant when it comes to racist, let's help you define racism, right? Racism is a person who is prejudiced against or antagonistic towards a person on the base of their membership of a particular racial or ethnic group, typically one that is minority, or marginalized. It is a character shown by a prejudice discrimination against a person or people on the base of their membership of a particular racial ethnic group, typically on one that is minority or marginalized. So if you are still discriminating against your fellow neighbor, be it based on color, be it based on culture, be it based on tribe, be it based on ethnicity, be it based on racial profile, you are simply a racist. And it is time for you to watch all of these videos and take a good turn, because just ask yourself this question: if I do this particular thing that I am doing to this person, if someone should actually do it to me, will I be comfortable? Will I be happy about it? If you're able to answer that question and the answer is yes, you'll be comfortable, then you can go ahead. But if the answer is no, then you need to know that a lot of people need to stop all of this racial race. It doesn't help anybody. We are one, no matter where we come from. I keep saying it: east, west, north, and south. And don't just look at this and be like, oh, she's just talking about the white people. Not only white people, even black people have been able to come out here to own it up to their chest. Because I saw some of the video, I even did a video about it, where they said, oh, black people can be racist. And in conclusion, we concluded that every single person can actually be racist. The only thing that you need is for you to come to a realization and understanding that we are one. No matter the color, no matter the tribe, no matter the ethnicity, no matter the race that we're running, we are all one. And the earlier you realize that, start teaching your own children to know exactly what they are coming into, to tell them that you do not need to do this, this is what you need to do. If parents can join hands to start teaching their young ones from now, I think it will help go a long way. I'm so grateful for these men and women that are actually bold to say out their stories, and I hope a lot of people is actually going to learn from this. This video is for educational purpose, the way I said. Let me know in the comment section what you think about this video, and please applaud these people in the comment section. Thank you so much for always coming to support me. I do not take you guys for granted. And yes, with no further ado, like I say in my videos, I'm going to be saying bye, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Please come back to watch more of my videos and do not stop coming. Bye for now. I love you. Mwah.